we do? Disclaimer. Comments are locked, but that's just to help me moderate things like racism, sexism, pure hatred, and things like that. So as long as your comment has none of that, it will probably be approved. That's really all that's about. Disclaimer over. Now, moving on to this topic in particular, this isn't one of those videos where I'm going to be talking about, oh, Riot sucks for killing off Dominion, it was one of the best game modes ever, roar. Roar, whatever, I don't know. I've never confronted a lion, whatever. Point is, I am going to talk about it a little bit, and like what it meant to me though, just because I feel like, you know, especially now that it's gone, it's an appropriate time, right? Because for me, each game mode feels a different, like, thing for me of why I play the game. Like, generally I play a bunch of custom games, for example, when I want to practice how to play a champion or a certain build, a certain matchup, you know, for example, I want to play practicing in a mobile carry into a lot of hard engage so I can practice positioning. So I might lock in like Jinx, then go against like Malphite, Blitzcrank, Annie, you know, stuff like that in the bot modes. I play a lot of blind picks so that there's certain things that can't be banned that I'm forced to play against and then learn how to play against. So my Katarina doesn't bother me so much. ARAM, even though I have my beast with ARAM because of Snowball, ARAM as a whole I do like. I do like it especially as an untilting method. If I've been playing too many Rift games and it's just not going well, let's go jump into an ARAM, and then at the minimum I can't be blamed for the champion I got because it's random. So I mean, now granted, that won't stop, you know, a Teemo from deciding that you should uninstall a game because you can't 1v3 against a Master Yi and Hecarim that have Mark Dash and decide to kill you when you have no flash and no peel either. But, you know, story for another time. Anyway, and then there's Twisted Treeline. Twisted Treeline is an iffy one because that's literally the game mode where my jungler goes, okay, let's go take Valmaul, and I go, hey, I got Arachnophobia, no thanks. And then of course there's now the dynamic queue, which I kind of actually like now that I've played it a couple times, because I usually go AD carry, and I don't really want to go any other role but AD carry, so lately I've been experimenting with mid, I've been having some success, and it's pretty nice. So what does all of this have to do with Dominion though? Because it's like, wait a second, you're talking about the other modes, who cares? This is why I care, and this is why it connects. It's because Dominion was actually a pretty decent mode, in my opinion, for practicing things like skirmishing, microplay, things like that. Because of the way the map was. Like, with ARAM, it's, you know, lane, and it's one lane. That's where you go to really practice maybe team fighting, because you're all in one lane going at each other, or like one tower down the way. Just a Treeline, it's a little bit different. I'm actually not really going to get into that one too much, because all I really see is like Spider Nightmares when I think about that place. And even though Valmont doesn't really look like the worst, it's not like you're going against Aragog or something from Harry Potter. I mean, heck, I'm not gonna lie, the first time I got ganked by Elise in Spider form, I jumped out my chair. Like, you don't even understand. This game should have warned me a little bit more about what I was getting into when I first played it. But anyway, Dominion, I feel, was a great place to practice things like, you know, 1v1ing and things like that, because the way that map and that mode was, the way the map just worked out in general, you were roaming a lot, you know what I mean? You were going to come across somebody potentially, or maybe you were roaming with your team, but you're going to cross paths, and it was kind of going to be some skirmishing in that sense, because you're really trying to just secure these towers. You're not even really destroying towers. So you didn't even really need the tower destroying AD carries to practice on that. I mean, I guess you could if you wanted to, but that was a place you might go maybe with like a Vayne or a Lucian or things like that as well, so you could practice like their mechanics and stuff like that. So I do wanted to make this video because Dominion did have that, in my opinion. Even though most of the time I played Dominion, it was with bots. And not even like auto bots, where like you were guaranteed either a really bad movie with a bunch of explosions, depending on if you disliked or liked the movie. I actually personally, I kind of liked the movie, so that's a story for another time. But it was like the bad bots, like, you know, the bots you get when you like hit the dial tone and you're trying to call like a live person and they give you like an automation and you're like, well, I'm not getting nothing done today. I just wasted time off work. Dominion, I feel, was that thing that you miss it more when it's gone. Like, a lot of people are coming out to WordWorks now saying that, oh, hey, I love Dominion, and they didn't even get the icon, which means they didn't even play it even 100 times. And it's not like you have to play something 100 times to love it, obviously. Like, the game modes that come out, you probably don't get it in 100 games every time a game mode comes out, right? But some people are like, I like Doom bots, even though I only had X amount of games. I like Earth, even though I have only X amount of games. So I'm not saying 100 games is like what you have to get on a mode to like love it, or like your proof of loving it. But at the same time, when Dominion was a permanent mode, it wasn't a game mode, I'm just kind of wondering a little bit how that stands. I'm not saying, again, it's not go hand in hand, but I do wonder how that stands, like a little bit, just a tiny bit. Because I do recognize that it did have its use. Unfortunately, its use just ran out. Unlike Twisted Treeline, which they said was 7 times healthier than Dominion, so it's not going anywhere. And ARAM, even they feel it, it's like an untilt kind of machine and such. So it's not going anywhere either, but Dominion is gone. It might be coming back as a feature game mode, is what I heard, maybe heard. I'm not entirely sure. Please don't quote me like none of this. I'm just like spouting this. This is like just at the top of the dome. And it's also like 4 in the morning, so this is a really terrible time to make a video anyway. But I did need to put this video in motion because I've been meaning to make this video ever since I heard that Dominion was going down. Because I felt the need to just kind of weigh in, because there are some people that just were really like actually mad at Riot this was going away, even though Riot's like, you realize we have the data that says like 0.05% of the entire league player base plays this mode or something like that. It was like really low, actually, surprisingly. And I wasn't, one of those 0.05%, but I do recognize that it did have its memories. It had its moments, it had its game modes, like Hide, the team mode, and stuff like that. And so it will be missed, though. As League decided they wanted to focus more on the Summoner's Rift itself, like Summoner's Rift is the backbone of League of Legends. Unfortunately, that meant Dominion's demise. It will be missed, but there are reasons that it's gone, and hopefully it will come back as like a game mode for the people that really loved it. And then for those of us who didn't really love it, because maybe we could have loved it more as a game mode or something. Like some people blame Riot because they're like, if Riot would have put more resources into it, it wouldn't have died. And yes and no. I feel like ARAM and Twisted Treeline succeed so much because they're like Summoner's Rift. They're focused around destroying towers and maybe team fighting or objective control. Dominion didn't have any of that, As much as I don't like Valmaul is the Baron of Twisted Treeline. You can contest that objective. You can contest the jungle camps. You destroy towers. You siege the Nexus. And all these other modes that Dominion didn't have. Which is part of why Dominion shined a bit, right? It was different, but it was just too different, I guess, so. And if they put more resources in Dominion, they couldn't have put all the resources into the Rift. And since the pro games and the thing that carries League right now, especially in the pro scene and such, is the Rift, they kind of do need to love the Rift the most. Unfortunately, if they have children, they have to play favorites, and they have to favorite the Rift. So, I do feel for the people that love Dominion. I too do think Dominion had its purposes, but unfortunately, it was Dominion's time. We might see it again one day, but for now it is gone, unfortunately. Now that is all for this video. I don't know when the next video is going to be, because life is full of a lot of kinks. But until next time, take care. GG, get jinxed.